Yo, what's up boys? It's Betta here with my day 3 update on my Poison SrS and my current progression on the build. Initially going through the acts was very easy. Early on I got very lucky by doing the Crucible. I managed to get a +2 to level of socketed minion gems on a calling wand with some minion damage, and this pretty much carried me all the way through the acts. On the wand itself I was using a Raise Zombie and Carrion Golem with multi-strike, and then I was using SrS itself with Unleash and Melee Splash along with a minion damage for the 4-link. And then getting into early maps, I pretty much just used the campaign gear and everything and sped my way through white maps, and then into early yellows I managed to grab a few minions have a chance to poison enemies on hit. So I thought, you know what, let's transition over to poison, and I did so by spending around about 30 chaos in total. So I only have a 98% chance for minions to poison, but it's more than enough. So I've got this jewel here with the 13%, some extra physical, and then I just have this as an extra damage one that I got from Abyss. Because I'm currently farming Abyss, but I'll get into my Atlas Tree strat in a couple of minutes. And then over here is just another chance to poison with a bit of additional chaos damage and chance to blind. The chance to blind is very important, and you should try your very best to get that on a jewel. And then here is another one as well with a chance to poison. I got really lucky with the Abyss farming once again, and I managed to get minions your increased damage if you use the minion skill recently. And then here is the 5th jewel with chance to poison as well. Right, other than that, I've done all of my labs and that. The build is really smooth at the moment. I'm very happy with the way that it is progressing. I'm way over capped on resistances. My chance to block sits at about 56% and 74% with spell block with bone offering up. And obviously I'm using the Arcanist brand to proc that and that, so it's a lot easier. And yeah. So I'm using the Divine Blessing with Malevolence, of course, and Tempest Shield, the Animate Guardian and Raise Spectre with Meat Shield. On my Animate Guardian itself, I'm using a Leer cast, and then I'm using a Curse Enemies with Temporal Chains on hit, along with the +1 Curse Boots. This does enable us to get an extra about 30% extra damage, which is really useful. And then of course for the staff that I'm using, it is a Dying Breath for the additional 18% damage and increased effect of curses on enemies around you. And then I'm using the Jinx Juju with just a proficiency annoyance for the extra dexterity, as I need the dexterity for the haste aura. I should actually level that up. I forgot to make that level 20. And then in the shield is of course the Raise Zombies and the Carrion Golem with Feeding Frenzy as like a meat shield. There's some extra damage along with our Vitality, Determination, the haste, and I'm using Convocation to keep our minions near. And then I'm running the Despair with Arcanist brand, Bone Offering, and Desecrate. And then the rings is just some bone rings with Laugh and some resistance, and then of course a 5-link armor, whereby I've got SrS with Unleash, Chance to Poison, Melee Splash, and Withering Touch. When it comes to bossing, I just hot swap the Melee Splash with Multi-Strike, and this pushes our DPS to about 2.5 million or so. I have created a POB of my exact character over here. As you can see, it's 2.4 million, which is really good. The effective hit pool is somewhat decent. It's not amazing on the fizz reduction just yet, but yeah, for an early setup, this is really great. I'm very happy with how it has turned out. Alright, so quickly just moving on over onto the current prices of the items for somewhat endgame gearing. So at the moment, a Covenant, which is not 6-linked, is around about 4.5 divines, which is not too bad. A 6-link will be around about 10 divines. I do expect these to keep on increasing in price. And then a United in Dream is currently 4 divines. Yesterday they were 10 divines, so probably tomorrow there will only be 2 divines. So I would recommend that you probably try and get a Covenant as soon as you can and wait on the United in Dream for a little later on. And then in terms of the Darkness in Thrones, for 75% is around about 25 chaos you can expect to spend, and if you want a max roll, they are ridiculously expensive at about 3 to 5. There were like 10 divines, which is pretty crazy. If you want to upgrade, I highly recommend that you should sink your currency into a Covenant first, and then later on get the United in Dream and try get a Darkness Enthroned as soon as you can to get some extra damage, if you can afford it, of course. At the moment, I do have 3 Divines, 100 Chaos, and I've got about another 5 Divines, maybe 6 of items to sell, but I'm going to be saving up to grab a Covenant first and to just fix some gear and that. Alright, so for my Atlas tree, I first went and grabbed Expert Reconnaissance and the Commissioned Officer for the additional Kirak missions and that. This is to enable you to get your map completions pretty quickly. At the moment, I'm on 92 out of 115, and I think I've only maybe bought 15 maps from Kirak or so. Probably more, but it is really, really good. And then, of course, I've grabbed Shaping the Seas and Shaping the Scars for the maps have an additional chance to be 1 tier higher. And then from there on, I pretty much just passed over to grab the Abyss nodes over here. I'm yet to get a boss. I think I've done probably well over 20 abysses, and I haven't even got an abyss, an abyssal boss. I have, however, I think I've gotten maybe 4 of the Stygian spires, so they seem to be pretty rare. And then from there on, I started to grab essences. And then once I grabbed a majority of my essence nodes, I also passed over and I grabbed all of the Searing Exarch for the altars and that. So I'm prepared for T15 and T16s. And then thereafter, I've just pretty much blocked everything that I can, except for Abyss and Sacred Grove, because I'm trying to get some juice, as I'm taking advantage of getting the Stygian Vase belts, and then throwing some essences on them, or even Harvestcraft in them for early profit. It is really, really good, and so far I'm very, very happy with this strategy. If you would like my Atlas skill tree and the path of building as well, it will be down below in the description for you. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, let's jump on into a T13 Defiled Cathedral over here. I am using Abyss Scarabs, of course, to guarantee Abyss on my maps, in hopes of getting a Stygian Vase, or even maybe a boss, which I'm yet to experience, but it seems a lot of people are easily getting them. So yeah, the gameplay is very, very simple. You just pop your Malevolence, spam your flasks, and you just pretty much every 2 seconds, I'm just right-clicking to summon SrS, and it just clears really, really well. I'm very happy with the current setup. For 30 Chaos, I'm very, very impressed. I have done a T16 Veritania, a T16 Al-Hazmin as well. It did take a little while to kill them, and some running around in circles, but I mean, it is to be expected with only using 30 Chaos this early on. But yeah, and then with the essences, as you can see, they just get absolutely destroyed as well. It's very, very good, nice and comfortable. And yeah, so you should always ensure that Malevolence is always up. A good trick with Malevolence is that while it is up, because it's giving increased skill duration, to use it again, so it lasts even longer. As you can see, it's lasting for 22 seconds, which is really, really good. And you should also ensure that you have at least 700 mana. And as you can see, I've just got enough mana, like just enough mana. But yeah. And then of course, you should probably get reduced effective curses on flasks to mitigate the nasty curses that we encounter on the map modifiers. Alright, so get to a boss, just hot swap for multi-strike. And you should probably ramp up first, but you know, you can just spam SrS and boom, boss is down. Super easy, nothing special. Alright, and then just one last thing, guys. In terms of the League mechanic, it is really, really, really overtuned. I honestly don't know how some builds will be able to get it right on defeating these enemies. As you can see, if you channel it all the way up, they are super, super juiced at the moment, as I'm trying to get a magmatic ore. There's been a couple of times when I was one-shot on that, especially going through the acts. I tried my best to do the League mechanic. It was really, really dangerous. So what makes SrS even more superior in this instance is that you can just obviously stay off screen, as you can see that I'm doing right now. and you can just destroy the enemies without really worrying about dying 6 times in a map and losing your juice, boys. So that's another upside to playing SrS for sure. I don't know how other builds are really dealing with this and that. I haven't really been checking out any of the updates and that. I've just been playing as much as I can. And there we go, we just got a depth 4. Fantastic, and there is our magmatic ore. Awesome. So that is day 3 update. I've been playing with this setup since day 1, pretty much. Yeah. Day 1, early day 2 is when I switched over to poison and that. And as I mentioned, I'm just saving up currency for the time being. So as soon as I have a covenant and I've switched a few pieces of gear around in that, I'll be putting out another update video, which you can expect to see in about a day or 2. So if you would like to see how I'm progressing the build, I am live on YouTube pretty much every single day. Smack that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell. Also drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Remember, down below in the description is the POB and my Atlas strat. Alright, see you then, Exiles. That is all I have for you today. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video or live stream.